Welcome to this week's Kindy Science, and today we're going to be talking about using density to make art. And this is part one because next week we'll look at a different art project. So today is all about talking about particles, and James and Rose are going to explain particles in a little more detail. But pretty much everything is made out of particles. And the smaller we get, or the closer we get with an electron microscope, which is a really special microscope that goes really, 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 really close, we eventually get down to the particles that everything is made out of are atoms. So I'll leave it to James and Rose to give you a little more information.
Density is a measurement that compares the amount of particles an object has to the space it takes up.
An object with a lot of particles in a certain amount of space has high density. An object with less particles in the same amount of space has a low density.
Let's show you.
Everything is made of particles. Atoms is the scientific name. Atoms can join together in different ways, and when they join together and have lots of space between them, that makes the objects lighter. If the particles are close together, that makes the object heavier.
Let's show you.
We have two containers exactly the same size. They have the same space inside them. We are going to put particles or atoms into the spaces. One container has atoms that are single, like this, and the other has atoms that are joined, like that. Which one is going to be heavier or a lot more dense? Let's fill them. Has 59 particles or atoms.
Mine has 45 atoms or particles.
Mine is denser and heavier, if you'd like to say, because it has more.
And mine is lighter because it has less. My particles or atoms have more space in between them.
But mine are all sealed, mushed together.
Revision time. What is the word that we use to describe light bending through an object or a prism, and sometimes bending so much that it breaks into a rainbow? The word is refraction. You can see refraction if you look at a rainbow in the sky. It's due to the light going through a prism, but the prism is a raindrop.
Let's experiment!
Here are two rocks. They're about the same size.
Yeah.
And this one has particles or atoms that are closer together.
Really? Can I see? Well, there are no holes in it.
Yeah, and the holes will be spacing them apart. This rock, however, has holes in it.
Wow, it's covered in them.
Yeah. And it feels lighter because of that.
Wait, can I feel them? Wow.
Which one do you think will float and which one do you think will sink?
I think that one because it's lighter and it has air pockets, but this one might because of the atoms, maybe? Let's find out.
Let's see. I'm gonna do this one first.
Whoa! It's sank right to the bottom.
And it looks big.
Wait. Awesome.
Okay, this one
Wow.
is floating.
But ooh. This is soaking wet. I guess we found out. The rock at the bottom, it has particles that are quite close together.
And the rock on the top has particles that are far apart. Here we have a density bottle and 2 paperweights. Let's talk about the density bottle first. What's in there? Oil on the top, water in the middle, salt on the very, very bottom. Water and oil don't mix, no matter how much you try. Now Rose is going to shake it, and we'll put that to the side. You might see right now, it might look like they've mixed, but they haven't. Secondly, we have this paperweight. You flip it around, and the water, I believe, goes down to the bottom. The pink and blue particles there are going to the bottom of the bottle because they're heavier or denser than the liquid they're in. So we'll put that down to over here. And finally, we have the lava paperweight. When you flip it around, all these particles float to the top because the liquid they're in is denser than them, so they want to go to the top.
The lava floats because it's less dense and the particles are far apart.
The pink and blue droplets are heavy, more dense, and the particles are closer together. There's salt, water, oil. The salt is more dense, the water is less dense, and the oil is the least dense.
Or in other words, salt is heavy, water is medium, and oil is light.
The art experiment we're going to do today is called marbling, and I'm going to do 2 different types of marbling. I'm going to do one with some oil paints and one with some cornstarch water and acrylic paints. Now, both of these activities you'll require a grown-up or your educator or mum and dad to help you with, so don't try and do this on your own. So the first experiment I'm going to do, I've got a tray of water and I've got some oil paints, just normal oil paints, and I've thinned them out with a little bit of paint thinner, and you'll need a grown-up to help you do that. Now you'll remember that oil is lighter than water. Water is more dense than oil. So our oil paints are going to float on the water. So if I just put a little bit of paint to float on the water, so there's some blue, here's some purple, put a little bit of yellow. And a little bit of red. Now you can see that the particles are floating on top of the water. The oil particles are lighter than the water. They're less dense. Their particles are far apart. The water's particles are close together. So I'm going to take just a little stick and I'm going to just mix them up a little bit. With my toothpick. Pop that there. And I'm going to get a piece of paper. Now this is just normal office paper. I've just cut it in half. Fold it so that it's got a little bit of an edge to hold, and I'm going to pop it in to catch my paint. There we go. And then I'll leave it to dry. Just here, and we can use it a bit later. Like that. And I've still got a little bit more paint here, so I can do a few more. Now this one's best to be done outside or in a place that's well ventilated, because it can get a little bit stinky. Oil paints are a bit smelly, and that's why you need to do this one with the grown-up. So catch those paints. There we go. And I'll pop that there to dry. Now this one is a bit easier for kids to do, but you'll still need a grown-up to help you. I've made up a cornstarch water. So I've used some corn flour or cornstarch, and I boiled some water and I mixed the cornstarch into it. Now you'll be able to see it's not clear anymore, it's white. And that means it's a bit thicker than normal water. So I'll pour it in. See the white colour? And because it's a bit thicker, the acrylic paint, which I've mixed with a little bit of water, should float on top because it's now very light. Its particles should be far apart, but the cornflour water should be close together. The cornflour water should be dense and the acrylic paints should be less dense. So I'm going to drip my acrylic paints carefully on here, and you'll see they are floating a little bit. Blue's a bit heavy. I don't think I made it light enough. So this one may take a little bit of experimenting. But there is some paint floating on the top, and like we did before, I got my colours onto my paper. And I'll let that dry. So I probably just needed to make my cornstarch water a little bit thicker so that the paint didn't sink to the bottom, and my paint a little bit thinner so it was more watery and was able to float on the top. But we still got our floating paint on the top and we were able to do our art. So like all experiments, when I go to do this again, I'll change my procedure, think about what I did wrong, and try and do it better next time.
Oh, I'm so upset.
Why are you so upset?
Because I'm sick of people saying that stones are all dense.
Fun fact! Atoms or particles can be different sizes.
Atoms can be different sizes.
Some can be very big.
Some can be very small.
I've got my artwork hanging up to dry. I've done my art experiment and I now know what I need to do to change my procedure, to experiment and have a go next time to make this one a little bit better. So, give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a pretend sticker, and I'll see you next week. Bye.